and make house music, I suppose. Just put my first record this year on 100% Silk. I mean, I think that house music is obviously, you know, it comes from the club. That's like where it's kind of like originated from. But I mean, it's been around long enough now that I think it's had its influence permeated beyond its immediate kind of environment. And I think that, you know, a lot of electronic music in the 90s became more kind of like, maybe you could say a little bit more experimental, or a little bit more kind of like music you could listen to at home as well as just specifically for a club. And I think that, I don't think it's necessarily a new phenomenon that sort of house is more, could be perceived as more home listening instrumental music as well as club music. Because if you look at some of Warp's early releases, they're definitely, you know, there's definitely a kind of interesting crossover with, say, like Move D Power 12-inch early on, and some of the LFO stuff. But I think, you know, you could say it's definitely kind of house-ish, but also there's definitely more of an experimental kind of side to it. So I think it's a reasonably long-standing situation. I don't think it's a new thing. Well, I mean, I got involved with LaRue kind of just through a friend, and they were looking for keyboard players when this was before anything blew up with them, and I just had nothing else going on, so I kind of just, we met up and I played keyboards and did programming and everything, you know. So we just met up and got along really well, and then it just kind of happened. It wasn't like, yeah, we just kind of met up and got involved that way, but I never had a specific kind of plan that, oh, I was going to be in a pop band or something. It was a total accident, but a happy accident, obviously. I really don't see creatively a difference between, say, underground music and pop music. I mean, there are different commercial models and there are different ways of looking at it. You know, I think the pop music tends to look at it as much more of a commodity than an art form, which is a negative thing, I think. But as far as the actual music itself goes, there's plenty of people who would be, you know, underground music producers who are making music. It sounds almost could be background, you know, could be backing music for Nicki Minaj or for whoever you want, Rihanna and stuff. And it's like it's hard to really artistically draw a distinction, I think. And I think that my music, I like to kind of like structure. I like song structures, and I like vocal hooks and things like that. So I like to incorporate them. But also, I think if you listen to a lot of like house music, especially more so than, say, techno, has had that kind of soulful pop thing. If you go back to like Mr. Fingers and, you know, especially Mr. Fingers, I think there's a real like poppy soulfulness, R&B influence in those things. I think lots of people who listen to vinyl and like vinyl tend to perhaps have an anti-digital perspective or viewpoint, and I don't think that that's the right way to look at it. I think that MP3s are great. I mean, you know, you can listen to it on the tube or walking around and in an airport or wherever, and that's great. You know, no one wants to carry around a Discman. You know, it's ridiculous. But I think that at the same time there has been something lost in the home environment, certainly, and in the club. But in the home, where it's, you know, people's attention spans are just cut short because of the way that we're used to consuming music through YouTube and through Spotify. And I just think that for someone who considers himself a serious music lover or whatever, it's vinyl is a really good way of focusing the attention on an album and just kind of slowing things down and allowing you to absorb it a bit. I think in clubs, especially as I've been DJing more this year, you can really hear a big difference when you're playing vinyl and then someone before you or after you plays off a computer. Some people say there's no difference, but I mean, vinyl does. It really does. I don't think it's muted. I mean, I think it's quite clear to anyone who's listened to any of the tracks that I'm heavily influenced by the early Chicago sound. And Mr. Fingers, Larry Heard in particular, I just think that he that whole period, I think, not just sonically, but kind of artistically captures such an interesting time of music and kind of freedom, and also the social and kind of political aspects of it as well, which I think are often missed. I just think that's a great time. But at the same time, you know, I'm not trying to be derivative of anything. You know, I want to make my own things and express my own, you know, my own feelings, my own sound with music. But it's, you know, undeniably that palette has had a big influence on me, definitely. Got a couple more remixes coming out. of the year. But that's it so far. Like I said, I've just been so busy doing remixing and stuff that. But I mean, from now till Christmas, I'm going to hit some new music. So hopefully, I'll have some more stuff coming out next year as well.